everyone, I Rajeshwari Shirkanhalli welcome you all in Nagesh Karasgi Orchid School channel. Students, as you know, we are discussing chapter number 18, pollution of air and water. In the last session, we discussed some concepts related to pollution of water. In that we have seen that water is getting polluted in different ways because of addition of different things. After that we started with the case study of Ganga river water. So, some concepts related to this case study we have already discussed, but let me revise those concepts again. So, let us begin. How does water get polluted? There is a case study. Ganga is one of the most famous rivers of India. Okay, so that is shown here in the figure 18.7. So, Ganga is the largest river and it flows from through many states. So, it originates at Gangotri and flows through different states. That is why it sustains most of the northern, central and eastern Indian population. So, when this Ganga river flows, it flows through the north part of India, central part of India and eastern part of India. So, Indian population residing at these parts, they get benefit from this water. So, their life is sustained because of this Ganga river. Millions of the people depend on it for their daily needs. Okay, so, here in this figure you can see the course of Ganga river. So, it flows through Uttaranchal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, etc. So, it flows through different states and that is why millions of people depend on it for their daily needs and livelihood. However, recently a study by the World Wide Fund for Nature, that is WWF, found that Ganga is one of the 10 most endangered rivers in the world. So, this World Wide Fund for Nature, that is WWF, with their studies they came to know that Ganga is one of the 10 most endangered rivers in the world. The pollution levels have been rising for many years. We have reached this stage because the towns and cities through which the river flows throw large quantities of garbage, untreated sewage, dead bodies and many other harmful things directly into the river. So, why Ganga river is treated as endangered river? Why? Because when this Ganga river flows through different states, people, those who are residing over there, they just throw all the waste material in this river water. In fact, the river is dead at many places where the pollution levels are so high that aquatic life cannot survive. Okay, so, at many places the pollution level is very high. It is too high that aquatic life, including aquatic animals and plants, they cannot survive over there. So, at those places this river is treated as dead. An ambitious plan to save the river called the Ganga Action Plan was launched in 1985. So, in the year 1985 a plan was launched named Ganga Action Plan. For what? For saving the river. It aimed to reduce the pollution levels in the river. However, the increasing population and industrialization have already damaged this mighty river beyond repair. Okay, so, this Ganga Action Plan was launched so that the river can be saved, but actually the fact is what? Population is increasing day by day and similarly industries are also increasing. So, because of this increasing population and industrialization, the river has become too much polluted that now this is beyond repair. Let us take a specific example to understand the situation. Okay, so, the Ganga at Kanpur in Uttar Pradesh, that is UP, has one of the most polluted stretches of the river. So, at UP there is too much pollution of this Ganga water. Kanpur is one of the most populated towns in UP. So, as we have seen that Ganga river flows through different states including Uttar Pradesh. So, in Uttar Pradesh, Kanpur is one of the city which is the most populated People can be seen bathing, washing clothes, means people carry their all the daily course. You can see here in this figure a polluted stretch of the river Ganga is shown. If you look at this river bank, you will see there is a lot of waste material just dumped over there, and this is because people are misusing this river. They are taking bath, they are washing their clothes, washing their animals, vehicles and so on. So, they are defecating in the river also. They also throw garbage, flowers, idols of gods and goddesses and non-biodegradable polythene bags into the river. Students, as you know that polythene bags are non-biodegradable. So, these bags are dumped in the river at Kanpur. Similarly, throwing garbages, flowers, idols of gods and goddesses, all this is making the river water highly polluted. At Kanpur, the amount of water is comparatively small and the flow of the river is very slow. Okay, so when this Ganga river passes through Kanpur, the amount of water is comparatively small over there, and the flow of river is also very slow. In addition, Kanpur has more than 5,000 industries. So, as I have told that Kanpur is having so many industries, so it is more than 5,000 industries. These include fertilizer industries, detergent industries, leather industries and paint industries. These industrial units discharge toxic chemical waste into the river. So, what these industries do, without any preliminary treatment of the chemicals, they just discharge, leave those toxic chemical waste materials into the river. So, based on the above information, just think of the answers to the following questions. What are the factors responsible for pollution of the river? The main factors responsible for pollution of river is increased population and industrialization. What steps can be taken to restore the river Ganga to its past glory? Strict action should be taken by government against the people, those who disobey the law as per the Ganga action plan. How would the disposal of garbage etc. affect the living organisms in the river? So, living organisms, they want fresh water and oxygen which is there in the dissolved form in the water. But if any garbage is just disposed, then there is algal growth, there is growth of bacteria and oxygen will be used up, and aquatic life cannot get the oxygen and they cannot survive. So, they die and their dead bodies also start rotting in the river water. So, many industries discharge harmful chemicals into the rivers and streams, causing the pollution of water. So, as I have told that industries discharge harmful chemicals which cause the pollution of water. So, here in the figure 18.9 you can see industrial waste discharged into the river is shown. So, some of the examples of such industries which release harmful chemicals are oil refineries, paper factories, textile and sugar mills. So, these are some of the examples of the industries. What they do, they just discharge the harmful chemicals into the rivers and streams, and because of that there is lot of pollution. And similarly, there are chemical factories. These industries cause chemical contamination of water. The chemicals released include arsenic, lead and fluorides which lead to toxicity in plants and animals. So, these industries, they cause chemical contamination of water. So, when different chemicals are released in the water becomes polluted, and that is called as chemical contamination of water. The chemicals released include arsenic, lead and fluorides which are very highly dangerous and they lead to toxicity in plants and animals. There are regulations to prevent this. Industries are supposed to treat the waste produced before discharging it into the waters. So there are some regulations what the industries should do. They should first treat the waste whatever is produced there, and then they should release the waste materials. But quite often the rules are not followed. The soil is also affected by impure water, causing changes in acidity, growth of worms, etc. So soil is also affected by impure water. So this impure water gets seeped into the soil, and soil pollution also takes place. So if the soil is polluted, then the acidity of the soil changes, the pH value of the soil changes, means soil becomes acidic, and growth of worms also get affected by that. So it affects the growth of plants. We have learnt in chapter 1 the importance of pesticides and weedicides for the protection of crops. Okay, in first chapter we have discussed that pesticides are used for killing the pests and weedicides are used for killing the weeds. In water, we use this for protection of crops. However, all these chemicals dissolve in water and are washed into the water bodies from the fields. Okay, so these pesticides, weedicides, all these are soluble in water. So they get dissolved in the water and they get washed away during the rain, and they get mixed with the nearby water bodies. They also seep into the ground to pollute groundwater. So if such water gets seeped, they cause the pollution of groundwater as well. Have you seen ponds which look green from a distance because they have a lot of algae growing in them? So you may have seen that if you look at some of the ponds from some distance, you will find that surface of water is looking greenish. So that is because of growth of algae. A lot of algae grows in that. Why? This is caused by the excessive quantities of chemicals which get washed from the fields. So excessive quantity of chemicals get washed from the fields, goes and mixes with the reservoir, water reservoir, and because of those chemicals there is growth of algae, that is also called as algal growth. These act as nutrients for algae to flourish. Okay, so these chemicals, they act like nutrients for algae, and algae get more nutrients, so that is why they grow more rapidly. Once these algae die, they serve as food for decomposers like bacteria. So after the death of these algae, this is a food for bacteria. So decomposers start decomposing, means bacteria get food. A lot of oxygen in the water body gets used up. So what is the result? Lot of oxygen from the water body gets used up. This results in a decrease in the oxygen level, which may kill aquatic organisms. So as a lot of oxygen gets used in the water, then there is a lack of oxygen, and the aquatic plants and animals do not get sufficient quantity of oxygen. So this decrease in the oxygen level may kill aquatic organisms. Okay students, there is one more activity. Just recall activity 18.6. You had investigated the sewage disposal system of your locality in class 7. Okay, so in the class 7 you have learnt about sewage disposal system. Do you remember how the sewage was collected from your home and where it went thereafter? See, what happens exactly here is the underground network of small and big pipes, which are called as sewers. You have learnt about it in the last year. Okay, so the underground network of small and big pipes, which are called as sewers, they carry the sewage from point of production to the point of disposal. So where the sewage is produced, from there where the sewage should be disposed, till there the waste material means sewage is carried by the network of small and big pipes which are called as sewers. So, where is the point of disposal? That is to the treatment plant. Okay, so sometimes untreated sewage is thrown directly into the river. So, in that way the sewage gets treated in the treatment plant, but what happens sometimes the untreated sewage is just thrown directly into the river. So, it contains, see, if the sewage is not treated means it contains different waste materials as it is. So, what are these? Food waste, detergents, microorganisms, etc. Can groundwater get polluted by sewage? Yes, definitely. How? See, if the sewage is not treated, then the detergents, they mix in the water, food waste materials, microorganisms, all this mix in the water, and that polluted water get percolated, gets seeped, and that is why the groundwater gets polluted. Water contaminated with sewage may contain bacteria, viruses, fungi and parasites which cause diseases like cholera, typhoid and jaundice. My God, just imagine that this contaminated water with sewage, it may contain different microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi and parasites. You know, you have learnt in the chapter 2 that these are dangerous, they cause different type of diseases. So, they cause diseases like cholera, typhoid, jaundice, etc. The bacteria present in the feces of mammals are indicators of the quality of water. Okay, so, the bacteria which are present in the excretory product of mammals, they indicate the quality of water. If the water has these bacteria, it means that it has been contaminated by fecal matter. If such water is used by us, it can cause various infections. So, students, always we have to drink clean water, that is also called as potable water. Do you know how water can also be a pollutant? Till now we have discussed about water pollution, but see here, hot water can also be a pollutant. This is usually water from power plants and industries. So, in different power plants, water is used as raw materials for producing heat, and after that hot water is just released in the nearby water bodies. Similarly, industries also, after the manufacture of their products, they release hot water in the nearby water bodies. It is released into the rivers. It raises the temperature of the water body, adversely affecting the animals and plants living it. So, aquatic life, that is aquatic animals and plants, they are suited to a definite temperature of the river. But if the hot water is released in the river, then the total temperature of the river get increased, and aquatic life cannot survive in that increased temperature. So, hot water also becomes one pollutant over here. So, after discussing about all this water pollution, let us move to the next concept. What is potable water and how is water purified? So, potable water means the water which is fit for drinking, that is called as potable water. So, let us see what is potable water and how is water purified. Next activity 18.7. Let us construct a water filter with simple everyday materials. Okay, suppose you can use the simple everyday materials and can construct a water filter. What you have to use for that is, take a plastic bottle and cut it into two halves at the center. Okay, so at the center you have to cut plastic bottle to make two equal parts. Use the upper half as a funnel by putting it upside down in the lower half. So, the upper part of the bottle you have to just invert, then you will see that it will take a shape of funnel, and that you have to put in the lower part of the bottle. Make layers in it with paper napkin or a fine cloth, followed by cotton, sand and then gravel. then you have to make different layers in the bottle. You have to use paper napkins and make different layers. For that you can use cotton, then sand, then gravel. Now pour dirty water through the filter and observe the filtered water. Then after that what you have to do, you have to pour the water from upside and then the water gets filtered and you have to see the filtered water. Okay, so after doing this you can think of the answers of these questions. The first question is, why do we need to filter water before drinking? So why should we filter the water before drinking? Because water which is full of dust particles and impurities is unfit for human health. Thus we need to filter water before drinking it, isn't it? If the water is uncleaned, not filtered, then it may contain dust particles and different impurities which are not good for health. So we need to filter water before drinking. The second question is, where do you get your drinking water from? So from where you get the drinking water? We all get drinking water from government supply water, or some people get from hand pump also. Okay. The third question is, what will happen if we drink polluted water? Just think that if we will drink polluted water, then what is the result of that? Polluted water have disease causing organisms. Just now we have seen that there are different microorganisms present in that, including bacteria, virus, then different parasites, etc. So this polluted water have disease causing microorganisms and dissolved impurities which can make us seriously ill. So we have to drink clean, filtered, potable water. Now Bhujo is very upset. He tells Paheli that he drank water which looked clear and was without any smell, but still he fell sick. Okay, so what Bhujo wanted to say, he wanted to tell Paheli that he drank water which was looking clear and there was no smell. You know that water doesn't have any odor, any smell, but still after drinking that water he fell sick. Then Paheli explains that water which looks clean may still have disease carrying organisms, microorganisms and dissolved impurities. Okay, so students, if you see clean water doesn't mean that it is fit for consumption. It may have some dissolved impurities, it may have some microorganisms which carry different type of diseases. So it is essential to purify water before drinking. For example, boiling. So the best and the simple method of purification of water at home is just boiling the water. So you have to boil the water and drink if the water is polluted, especially in rainy season. Similarly, at many places RO water is used which is safe for drinking. So water which is suitable for drinking is called potable water. You have seen how various physical and chemical processes in the sewage treatment plants help to clean water before discharging it into water bodies. Okay, so how potable water is obtained in water purification tanks. Different physical, chemical as well as biological methods are used for cleaning that water. Okay. Similarly, you have learnt different physical and chemical processes in the sewage treatment plants which helps to clean water before discharging it into the water bodies. Similarly, municipal bodies treat the water before supplying it to households. So whatever the water we get, that is the treated water that is treated by municipal bodies. Do you know 25% of the world's population is without safe drinking water? It's really a very serious problem and we are lucky enough that we are getting safe drinking water, but 25% of world's population is not getting safe drinking water. It's very dangerous situation. Let us see how water can be made safe for drinking. So let's see the purification of water. You have already seen how water is filtered. This is a physical method of removing impurities. Okay, so by filtration some impurities can be removed, but not all. A popular household filter is a candle type filter. Now many households use boiling as a method for obtaining safe drinking water. So boiling water is very easy method for obtaining safe drinking water. Boiling kills the germs which are present in the water. So when we boil the water, whatever germs are there in that water gets killed. So that is another method. Chlorination is one of the other method which is commonly used chemical method for purifying water. So this is a chemical method because here chlorine, a chemical, is added to the water. So for purification of water, chlorination method is also used. It is done by adding chlorine tablets or bleaching powder to the water. So for purification of water, either tablets of chlorine are added or bleaching powder is added. We must be cautious. We should not use more chlorine tablets than specified. Okay, so chlorine is also poisonous. We should not use more chlorine than the specified quantity. Now what can be done? There is another activity for you which you are going to do by yourself. Activity 18.8. Investigate the level of awareness about water pollution in your area. Collect data on the sources of drinking water and the methods of sewage disposal. So you are going to investigate that in your area how much awareness about the water pollution is there among the people. Similarly, you are going to collect data on the sources of drinking water, means from where you get drinking water, and similarly you are going to investigate about the different methods of sewage disposal. Now what are the common waterborne diseases in the community? You can consult your local doctor or health worker for this. Okay, so you can talk to your family doctor or any other local doctor or health worker and find out which are the common waterborne diseases in the community. Now which are the governmental and non-governmental organizations working in this field? So you have to investigate about the different governmental organization and NGOs, non-governmental organizations working in this field. Then what are the measures being taken by them for generating awareness? Okay, so this activity you are going to perform. So after doing this activity, you will come to know about many things which we will discuss in the next session. So what can be done, that we will see in the next session. So students, today we have discussed about case study of Ganga river. We have seen that Ganga river is one of the very important river in our country, but because of increased population and industrialization and carelessness of the people, Ganga river is getting polluted, and it has polluted too much that it is beyond repair. But we all have to take precaution. We should not pollute water. We have to always use safe drinking water. We have discussed about potable water. Potable water means the water which is fit for drinking, fit for consumption. If we do not use potable water, we may get different type of diseases. So I hope you have understood all this. You have understood the situation of water pollution, and I hope you will spread the awareness among other people in your neighborhood and among your friends, etc. So just go through the concepts and mark your points and do the suggested activities. So what can be done more to purify the water that we will discuss in the next session. Today we will stop here. Thank you.